Ladies and gentlemen, happy Thursday. Puckett and Benson here, bringing you the action today. And of course, it's still Rostermania this week, but the roster drama, not the biggest news of the day.
Yeah, there was a small, minor announcement that Activision may have kind of pumped out this morning. Nothing.
It's only going to affect millions of people.
It's absolutely fine. Of course, Activision finally came out with a little bit of intel about their eSports plan for next year.
Yep.
Didn't really give us a lot, but they gave us enough to get us excited about what could potentially be happening next year. I'm very, very pumped. I read it, kind of read through it. There's still a little question mark on a couple of things from my point of view, but overall, it's an exciting time to be a fan of Call of Duty eSports.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Call of Duty eSports has been blowing up over the last few years. MLG picked it up with Black Ops 1. Since then, we have seen growth year after year. Some of the highlights from the article here is that, you know, they're excited to announce the formation of the Call of Duty World League. That's the official title. It's an esports league operated by Activision. It's going to feature regional competitions and live stream events throughout the year. And there's going to be new opportunities for amateur players and fans of all skill levels to compete and even earn a spot at the Call of Duty Championship.
And one of the big things which a lot of people on social media were excited about was the tripling of the prize pool to $3 million for potential winnings. But it's important that you mentioned it. That isn't $3 million for the World Championship. That's $3 million split across everything of the year, which is still a huge sum of money.
Because you look at Call of Duty Championship and its history, right? Black Ops 2. Call of Duty Ghost, and then Advanced Warfare, $3 million. So they split that up for the last 3 years. Now, in 2016, $3 million, all for Black Ops 3.
That's a really good way of looking at it. It's kind of like, here is the last 3 years that we had to deal with Microsoft, and then it's like, okay, let's just do that again in 1 year, which is a really cool way. But the way you have to kind of think of it in your head, if you're trying to wonder, okay, well, how is that going to be split up? We know there's going to be 2 events per region. There's 3 regions confirmed, so that's 6 events plus World Champ 7. So, you know, from everything I read, that was my interpretation of it. So from them 7 events, the prize money will be split, but it's also going to be split proportionally dependent on the region too. So there's different regions may have different prize money simply because of, you know, how many teams are playing, et cetera, and stuff like that.
And I think we kind of got a little bit more information. We know that there's going to be, in the pro division at least, there's going to be North America, Europe, and Australia. Historically, North America bigger than Europe, Europe bigger than Australia. The regional competitions are going to feature their own lands, and they're also going to have the ability for people to watch it in person and online. So even at the amateur level, I guess you would say, for the regional competitions, at the pro level, we're going to see everyone able to watch those. At the amateur level, though, is what I'm interested in, because it says Challenge Division, amateur teams have official LAN events and can secure a place at the Call of Duty Championship.
And speaking of the Call of Duty Championship, one of the big things as well is that's now moved. It's no longer going to be kind of that 6-month period. It's going to go all the way over to fall, which was such a good time, because I feel like one of the big problems in the past couple of years, I mean, I think you'll probably agree with this, is you just kind of get bored.
Yeah.
It's like 6 months into the game.
March is
$1 million tournament. Yes, awesome. Everything is great. All right, what now?
And I like the idea of rewarding the teams that are the best at the end of a life cycle after 10 months of practice. We'll see how that all plays out. Now, they also had a Q&A.
Yes. I got some of the most important questions.
Okay, yeah. You go through these, because honestly, I skimmed this really quickly.
Okay. So one of the things that you kind of touched on was how will pro seasons operate. We have the article up. We can kind of throw that up as well and kind of talk you through it as we go along. But how will the pro seasons operate? You touched on it really, really well. The pro division of the Call of Duty World League will have competitions in North America, Europe, and Australia/New Zealand. So they're being combined into one. Each territory will have an independent regional structure. So also bear that in mind. Every structure is going to be different. They're not all the same. That's going to be most likely down to a point we'll get on to a little bit later on, how many teams are going to be in each region. But of course, there will be tournaments worldwide, and all of the teams can compete in all of those. Big question that a couple of South Americans started tweeting at me this morning is, hey, we've been forgotten. Where is our region? Why did we not get a chance to play? Because traditionally, the World Championship has been kind of open to everybody. They can still compete, but it looks like they're going to have to go through the Challenge Division. But you can still make your way through. And then this is the big one for me. How many teams will participate in each pro season? So it breaks it down perfectly. For the first year of the World League Pro Division, North America is going to have 12 teams. Okay?
12 teams to run
12 teams.
Okay.
of which 8 will make the final stages. Europe's going to have 10, of which 6 will make the final stages, sorry. And Australia and New Zealand will have 8 teams, of which 4 will make the final stage. Now, when you do that math, I was doing it with some of the production staff, it doesn't actually add up to a nice round number. If you take it 8, obviously, from North America, then you're going to have your 4 from Australia and New Zealand.
12.
And you're going to have 6 from Europe. So that's 18 teams. So when you think about that in your head of, all right, are they going to do pools? Are they going to do a bracket? I think you kind of have to think, all right, how many teams from other regions are we potentially going to see? Then, of course, you have the Challenge Division teams which are going to come in. So I think that kind of tells you 24 teams is roughly what it's been, I think, the last 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's ever been 32.
I think it has been 32.
Was it 32?
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe I'm just completely wrong then. But I can't see it being 32. There's no way.
Because last year alone, 14 from NA, right?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe you're right. Well, there goes my whole theory.
Yeah.
Well, even if you do the maths, right? 18 teams. There's no way from 18 you're going to kind of double down on that and have other that many other teams come through. I think it's fair to say, maybe 6 more teams, and it gives you 24, a nice round number that you can maybe work a bracket with.
Well, I was going to say, as someone who's been doing brackets for a decade, 18's a weird number.
That's a horrible number.
We had a weird number, though, at Season 3, and it worked out really well. We had 12, and you just had to do an early round before you had a normal bracket.
We know that teams are going to come through from the Challenge Division. The question is, okay, how many teams? And I think when you look at it kind of logically, mathematically, I think 6 teams coming from that would kind of make a little bit of sense, and that does give you that 24 number. Just my interpretation of everything. But one of my big questions, which a couple of people have been asking, and I'm very curious to know, is how is that $3 million prize pool going to be distributed? How much is the World Championship going to be? Are we going to see something where it's like a 1.5 or a $2 million?
Let's break this down real quick. You have $3 million, right?
$3 million, 7 events.
You have a single event, right? That's your Worlds.
That's your Worlds. And then
you're not going less than $1 million there. So let's just say $1 million is right here.
Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you 7 events. You're going $1 million on the big one.
$1 million on the big one.
That gives you $2 million.
And you said there's
6 other events.
6 other events.
Each region has 2 events. 3 regions, 3 times 2, 6.
Do you split it up?
See, that's what I'm saying.
No, it should be weighted.
Would you go for $1 million across the 6 and $2 million for the big one? To me, that's a lot more appealing.
I'm excited. Now, Activision, of course, came out with a lot of information, but they still have plenty more. The to be announced that they highlighted were broadcast plans. They haven't announced what they're doing. We know Black Ops 3 is going to have lots of new broadcast tools in it. Black Ops 2 kind of started the Codcaster mode, the broadcaster mode. Trend. Black Ops 3, we're expecting even better. They're also saying they're going to announce a new eSports team. So a whole division maybe for Activision, we'll find out.
That would make sense.
And then who are the official partners?
Yes.
Who is going to be operating these events? For example, I know ACL was involved with the Australian qualifiers last year. We saw Gfinity helping operate the European qualifiers for last season. So we'll have to see who Activision decides to team up with. I think it's going to be pretty interesting year here for Call of Duty. If you've been like a guy like Attach, maybe a guy like Hook, Temp, they might be a little young. We'll have to see here, but they got to be excited.
Again, this is where there's even more kind of clues to this giant puzzle of just.
Did they spell it out in here?
Right. So this is the first thing, just so everyone knows. When does the season start? When is it all going to kick off? It's going to be January. So January, that's when we can kind of see this kind of development of the seasons across all 3 different regions. So that's something to be super excited about. Not too soon, I think. Not too late either.
Right.
It's kind of good timing, which is always
gives
good.
you about a month and a half to practice.
Right, exactly. The second key thing here is, obviously this is Treyarch. Treyarch led the way in all things called esports, and then it kind of fell off a little bit. I'm just going to be honest, speaking on a neutral party.
Ghost was weak, says Ben.
Just saying. Advanced Warfare kind of picked things up in the esports environment, but this is a Activision franchise thing. This is going to go through every single game which Activision pumps out, which is Call of Duty. So that's really big news. That means you're no longer going to have, this year was a little bit different to that year because of X, Y, and Z. Now it's kind of as if this is the esports initiative that Activision have brought in, and that's something for a really long time fan of the game is really exciting to see. Like, there's going to be that consistency to it. That's your really important point, the age. Okay?
Yes.
So
this is, everyone was panicking. Deserto made a single article, and everyone's like, "Oh no, what's going to happen?"
They crazy, those crazy Englishmen. So, what are the age limits for the Call of Duty World League? This is exactly as it's written in the article. I'm going to read it word for word. Call of Duty has different ratings in different countries. We will adhere to the standards set by the different ratings boards across the world. There's two things that I know about this. Number one, I didn't actually know this. Apparently, if this is true, I read this online. Internet isn't always true.
Wait. Did you read this like on the COD Reddit? Did you read this like from a lawyer somewhere? Where is this source?
So I was looking up about ratings on Call of Duty, and this really like informative article came up, and it was really professionally written. But it was saying how apparently the multiplayer rating isn't actually the same as the single player rating. So when they do video games, they're actually kind of different. They're not. You can't just kind of combine it all in one because it's two kind of different pieces to the game, if you will. But this is a huge problem to me.
Why?
A massive problem. Because let's say this isn't how it is, but let's say in England, for example, or Europe, the rating of the game is 12. Just let's say it is. Obviously,
12.
Isn't. Obviously isn't. But let's say it is. But in America, let's say it's 18. Okay. Where is the grand final? Where is the World Championship going to be held? Because surely at that point, that dictates the age that you can play. Because if I'm 12 and I'm in England, and let's say I'm playing, and I qualify for the World Championship, and you're 18, like, do you see what I'm saying? There's a very strange line.
I don't think the World Championship matters at this point because you have to qualify through your individual region. You have to be old enough to play in your region.
But that's what I'm saying. If I'm 12 and I'm allowed to play in England and you're 18 and you're not allowed, or if you're 17 and you're not allowed to play, and then we get to the World Championship and there's like a 12-year-old from England and then there's no one. You see what I'm saying? I don't know, I feel it's a little gray area, which I think is always kind of been the case with the age.
Well, Activision's $8 billion company. They have
a lot of money.
They have some major money going to lawyers every year, I assume. And I doubt they're going to get into any legal trouble.
Oh, no,
They'll play it as
trouble.
safe as possible, which for the youngsters out there is kind of not what you want to hear.
Not what you want. How old is who?
Sorry, little guys.
16, 17 now? Not sure.
I haven't checked his birthdays recently.
Yeah, TJ is one of the youngest players in eSports, but that's unfortunate. We'll have to kind of wait. That's the one thing which I'm kind of like keeping my eye out. That and the prize pool distribution, how it's going to be, because that to me is super exciting.
Yeah?
That's so cool. Because if you have 6 events and you split them up with the $1 million and you have $2 million for the World Champs, I think that's cool because obviously Halo came out and they announced that they're doing $1 million tournament as well. And it's like, I feel like, you know, that COD versus Halo has always been a thing. It's like, you want to one-up them. You do. You just want to say, hey, you have $1 million, that's cute. We did that the last 3 years. Here's $2 million.
Right. I'm excited to see event production. If you look back at COD Champs, I feel like that's always one of the best broadcasts of the year in the FPS scene. And will they have that same level across all of the regional events? Activision does things right, man. So
that's a really good point because sometimes there's like discrepancies when you see just like average, just like a normal event, if you will, like an open event. There's discrepancies between how it looks.
Right.
I think this is really good at kind of being, you can tune in from anywhere in the world to any one of these regions and it will be kind of the same looking broadcast, so you get used to it, and that's kind of the look that COD Esports will have. Well,
Activision hasn't announced who their partners are, and I got a lot of questions on Twitter. What is MLG doing? What does this mean for MLG? What does it mean for everyone else doing live events? The official word here from MLG, we're excited to see Call of Duty esports grow globally, but can't comment on future plans at this time.
It's exactly as it says on the piece of paper.
Yes, I read that word for word.
You did. And it was good.
Well, so don't ask Ben and I anymore because we can't say anything because we don't know anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wish I knew. It'd be great if I did, but meh. Although I do love how everyone just assumes that we know. It's kind of funny.
I feel pretty smart all the time.
Me too. And then
not surprised other people feel the same way, Ben. But we should take this opportunity though to remind you guys we do know the future for AEW right now, and that is there's one more event. It's going down in New Orleans, October 16th through the 18th, and you can get your tickets right now. MLG.TV/finals. It's basically kind of a similar setup as Activision's new announcement plans. We have our Pro Division. Those guys are already going to be pre-seeded into a bracket. Everyone else can fight through an open bracket to get a chance to play for that $250,000 prize pool.
Such a huge prize pool. Like when you think about that, $250,000. Like that's absurd. That's like a quarter of, you know, the World Championship right there, just in one tournament. Massive amount of money.
Lots of money to be made in Call of Duty eSports. Congratulations for all of you players at home who got the news this morning or maybe this afternoon when you woke up. I know this is great news to start your day. So that's how we started our day. But before the news came from Activision, we got a lot of news from some players, Ben.
Oh my God! Last night I was lying in bed and I was just kind of browsing on Twitter, and the next thing you know, as you do, you're just swiping down, you know, and then all of a sudden, boom, Rostermania. It just exploded. Everyone and their mother was making team changes. Didn't even make sense, some of them.
Nope.
Some very, very questionable ones, and we kind of going to break them all down. And we have some awesome interviews with some players as well who are going to give us their thoughts on everything, and also specifically why they made the moves they made. Because it's interesting.
All right, guys, lots more to talk about here on the eSports Report. Ben and I will be back. We'll have a special guest as well. You want to hear it from his mouth. Slacked is going to join the show to tell us the future of Elevate.